evening, everyone. Very wishing you all a very happy new year. And can I just say, I am honored and so pleased to be speaking to you today and sharing my life story or my career journey so far with all of the people on this call today. When people ask me how I ended up here, I usually smile because there's no short answer, only a trail of moments that have shaped me, challenged me, and occasionally surprised me. Today, I'd like to share some of those moments with you. So, to begin with, my name is Ananya Agrawal. I'm currently a trainee solicitor sitting in the M&A department at Clifford Chance, London. I have done my undergrad from the National University of Juridical Sciences in Kolkata. I've studied law, and I would like to give you a brief description of what I've come and what I've become through the life story that I will share with you today. You'll see on the screen, I have combined this one photograph, which I think very well lays out my life story into kind of one picture. Hint, hint, artificial AI had a very big job in helping me put this together. Um, but the reality is that I grew up in Germany, Paris, the UK, and India, which essentially meant that my childhood was a masterclass in cultural diplomacy. I learned to switch languages, accents, snack preferences with an agility that I personally think should be on my CV. I grew up in various different environments amongst various different people who spoke different languages to me, who thought in multiple different ways. And I think what I picked up fairly quickly was the ability to understand that despite the differences that we come from, at, at, at the base, we're all one human. We all have shared experiences, and it's those shared experiences and conversations which make collaboration so much better and so much more efficient. During my teenage years in the UK, I was an extremely enthusiastic student. I wanted to dabble into everything that school had to offer to me. I was one of those students who would actually be quite upset if I missed school on one day, as opposed to, say, my younger brother right now, who has to still be kicked to go to university every single day by my parents. But um, for me, I wanted to try something new and I wanted to achieve something different than what people around me are doing. So my first entrepreneurial adventure happened at the age of 12, when other kids were probably discovering video games and glitter glue. I was, on the other hand, founding an initiative called Young Chambers, which essentially was an initiative where I organized business breakfasts and networking with local businesses in my town to raise funds for school activities. So while most kids were perhaps collecting, back in our time, Pokemon cards, I was collecting sponsorships for activities to be funded in school. Some might call that very ambitious at the age of 12. My family called it very on brand. Throughout my former years of school, I dabbled into public speaking, debating. I ventured into various different activities, Model United Nation competitions, and by then I had tasted just enough success to think, why stop now? I wanted bigger rooms, I wanted bigger conversations, I wanted a bigger stage. And in my head, the fastest route to that was an MBA. I know that may shock some of you, knowing that right now I'm a lawyer. However, it was an MBA that came to my mind in the first instance. And that shows how much perhaps the lack of conversation around the various different diverse career paths that are available to everyone can shape a young person's mind into thinking what they want to do or what they want to dabble into once they grow up. So fast forward a few years, I was fully ready to pursue an MBA. All of the shenanigans around corporate strategy, financial modeling, PowerPoints, I was ready for that personality shift. I was in India at this time, and in India, to get into any undergraduate law school, undergraduate university, as is the case in most countries, you have to give a very competitive examination, and which is followed by an interview, which is followed by sort of multiple rounds. And as I'm sure a lot of you know, the population game in India, we're no longer thinking competing amongst thousands of people, but in fact, we're thinking competing amongst hundreds and thousands of people to get to these very, very few positions in very prestigious universities in the country. And it's during my time when I was preparing to do my undergrad in kind of business management and administration, um, where plot twist, I met the law. And it was love at first sight. It was what I was wanting for years on out. It was my love for strategy. It was my love for analysis, of critical analysis, critical thinking, shaped into a very good baseline of what the law means, which is looking at certain rules and regulations, looking at a set of facts and connecting the two, finding novel solutions, novel arguments to your client's problems. Some people at the time said it was a very silly decision. No one in my family had ever done law. No one in my extended family had ever done law. I came from a family of doctors, engineers, of business professionals, and there were a lot of raised eyebrows at the time as to what is law and who does law. But it was my belief in myself and in also the confidence that I had in the passion that I found that I decided to pursue law. I took a drop year post my A levels. I started preparing for some of the most competitive law schools in India. And during that time, some may call it a sacrifice, but what I called it was determination. I gave up on seeing friends, family, on doing social activities because I was very, very focused. I knew what I wanted and I was ready to prove everyone around me wrong. Thankfully, things worked out. I ended up at the National University of Juridical Sciences, one of the best law schools in India, and I was ready to make the most of this opportunity. I was like any other enthusiastic law student. Once again, that charm, that love for something that I'm pursuing with passion came back. I dabbled in everything that law school had to offer. I did moots, I did publications, I joined research groups, I was part of committees, I did so many competitions. Basically, if something moved, I joined it. And somewhere between that chaos, my true passion once again emerged, this time in law for negotiation and international mediation. And suddenly, once again, it all clicked.
Branch.
One win led to another. I started off as doing trainings and competitions within my law school, and then was suddenly sent to one of India's best negotiation competitions, the NLS-NMC. Mind you, I'm still a first-year law student at this point. There are many people who are much older to me, much more experienced than me in this competition, but to once again, to everyone's surprise, I won this competition. I was sent to represent India at the international negotiation competition in Tokyo. I was invited then to the signing of the UN, the United Nations Singapore Convention, in back in 2019. I was invited for an internship in Dubai where we were hosting an international mediation competition. I won several arbitration moots during that time in Delhi, and secured special prizes at the world's leading international mediation competition, ICC Paris. And people started referring to it as a streak. Personally, I just called it a world tour, some generously sponsored by Merit scholarships. However, here's the honest part. Even with all of the medals, the titles, the travel, I wasn't happy. There was still something that wasn't being fulfilled. it's not that I wanted more trophies, I just wanted more purpose. And just when I was beginning to realize this at the start of 2020, this is at the end of my sort of second year of law school, COVID hits. All of my international internships that I had lined up gets canceled, travel stops, the competition stop, and suddenly the world comes to a shutdown. This is when I open up a Word document and an idea comes through. The idea being Excuria International. ECI is an international dispute resolution platform which is now present in over 40 different countries. I decided to turn adversity into opportunity. I launched Excuria because through my experiences in all of these different international competitions, I realized that people from across the world have very, very different ideas of what negotiation means to them, of what mediation means to them, of what arbitration means to them. They have very different ideas of what dialogue means to them. And my idea with Excuria was to collect these various different experiences onto one platform, which can then inspire jurisdictions which are very new and initiating ADR policies in their own country to pick up from. What started off as a small blog to collect these ideas soon turned into an international platform with international stalwarts in dispute resolution. I'm talking judges, international mediators, partners at law firm from across the world who were taking a chance on this 20-year-old girl in the middle of COVID, cold emailing a lot of these people. Somehow, miraculously, with a lot of hard work and dedication, once again, ECI worked. We were invited by the United Nations, UNESCO, ICSID, the government of India, to now advise on various policy changes that were coming about. We facilitated international negotiation and mediation competitions in Sri Lanka and Nigeria. Again, bringing something that isn't in the jurisdiction, or rather helping bring those experiences to people who may not know so much about ADR. And all of this led to that fulfilling feeling that I was perhaps chasing all of these years. However, once again, this wasn't enough. There was still something out there. There was still something more that I wanted. And at this point, my friends and family kept asking me if I was on track for a Nobel Prize. And I did not want to correct them, neither do I want to right now. And I let them dream on further. My end of sort of my law school, when we're all thinking about what's next after this, where do we go for a job now? How do we actually earn the money that is required to live in and succeed in life? I once again stopped to think, what is it that I really want? Am I just chasing am I just chasing sort of empty titles, or am I chasing again, once again, a purpose, something that I'm passionate about, that I wake up with purpose to go and fulfill every single day? And once again, a very impossible looking task stood in front of me. To give you a brief idea, the training contract route in the UK works as a graduate route to get into some of the best law firms in the UK. And we're talking Magic Circle, Silver Circle, US law firms. And these are not firms that typically recruit from international jurisdictions. For me, that was a challenge that everyone around me had tried very hard at, but unfortunately had not succeeded. So I was looking at climbing up this one training contract hill to get into a training program for one of these Magic Circle or US law firms, with actually not having seen anyone around me do it. Once again, faced with the same sort of challenges, once again faced with the same opinions of people around me saying that this is not possible. And once again, the same grit and determination of proving myself right, of proving the fact that if I set my mind to it and if I have dreamt it, and if this is what I truly want, global collaboration, then I will work hard enough to get it. Cut short to getting through a lot of interview processes, assessment center processes. And the first one that I got through, I failed at it. I handled it. I handled that rejection like any other normal 21-year-old at the time, which is by declaring that my career is over, by declaring that this is the end of it, all of my dreams and plans and things that I had made after I received this training contract offer, all of that was coming to an end. However, after this 1.5 day of melodrama, as some would call it, I gathered myself. I looked at my application again. I looked back at the skill set and I went into a deep dive as to what is it that I really need to work on. Why is it that out of those 3 interviews, it was that one interview that I couldn't crack properly? And it was the other 2 interviews where I had glorious feedback. It took me about 2.5, 3 months to work on those skills, to work to fill those gaps that I would require in order to put myself in a very good stead for this application cycle. And then I tried again. I applied. I was authentic in my application. I didn't second guess myself. I looked at I spoke to my mentors. I gathered advice and I applied with full faith and belief that this is truly a firm, this is truly a place that offers me what I'm looking for. And to not just everyone's surprise and delight, but to an absolute dream coming true, I got through Clifford Chance, London for their training contract. And in fact, several other training contract offers followed that. And through them, I picked Clifford Chance. So from going into the application cycle, having not seen anyone go through this cycle or get through it successfully, to then standing there with multiple training contract offers in my hand, it was definitely a moment of great pride, great opportunity, and also that ringing belief that if you are relentless in your dreams, if you believe in yourself, nothing is too short, nothing is too far, and you can achieve what you want to achieve. I say that even now, reflecting back into my life and looking to the future, there is so much that is to be done. This is just very much the start. But at the same time, the lessons that I have picked up on the way reinforce the fact that it's also okay to stop and praise yourself once in a while. It's also okay to reflect on your achievements just as much as you reflect on things that pull you down. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to recollect your thoughts, and it's definitely okay to change paths and change interests at any point in your life. Through my years of law school, years before that, there were times where I'd felt personally that I could have done better. But there were people around me who were celebrating me. There were people around me who um, were looking at me with fond eyes because sometimes we are very harsh to ourselves. And I think through this journey of mine, one thing that I've realized is that you need to be your own cheerleader. You need to believe in yourself and your dreams and your ambition. And that is the main task of moving forward in life. Beyond that, another point that I would really drive home is the power of networking and the power of mentorship. I think if not of all of those international conferences, competitions, of meeting all of those different people from various walks of life, I wouldn't have I wouldn't have collected those ideas that I did. I wouldn't have collected that kind of support that I did, which brought me to many of my achievements today. Therefore, take that time out, reach out to people, cold email people, text them, email them, because I promise out of those 300 emails that you send, 20 people will respond, and it's only those 20 people that you actually need to move forward in life. So I leave you with this. I understand and I agree that my dream is ambitious and I hope to dream. But I leave you with the fact that hope is dreams may be audacious, but you never stop to hope, for hope is the best thing. Thank you so much. And thank you, Fawzia and Elham, for inviting me here today.